Yeah, how's it, guys? Jun here. Welcome to another video of my channel, Jun Ismail Fishing. Yeah, I just got back from the fishing expo Africa this past weekend, and yeah, guys, it's like quite overwhelming on the support of my videos that I'm receiving. I was actually quite shocked to how far and wide the videos have spread on educational purposes. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna work harder on this channel to provide you with more content over the next few months, because I see it's serving its purpose. It is assisting people for developing themselves in a sport, and that's what it's all about. So we're well into the summer months of fishing here at the KZN North Coast, and it's been a much better summer with regards to the non-edibles compared to previous seasons. There have been quite a bit of sandies around, and many of honeycombs, brown skates, yeah. So quite a bit of hammerheads also, scalloped hammerheads along our coast on the deep water points. It's been quite good for the past month or two. Started off quiet in September and November, but towards the end of November and December, the fish have really come on. I've managed to get a couple of sandies, hammers, and stuff. Yeah, but I'm gonna be on break in the next few days, so I'm gonna start putting more effort and hopefully show you guys more catches. Yeah, so today's video is gonna be put on the bit of a more complicated topic, but yeah, this channel we talk on all aspects of fishing, catering for guys who are learning the sport to guys who are on an intermediate level, and also those who are doing it on a bit of a more extreme level. So today we're going to talk on a topic which I haven't really seen many of the YouTubers speaking about, but I'm going to try to empower you on today's topic of chumming. I'm going to explain to you on probably 10 or 11 points on this topic. It's gonna be quite an in-depth video, so yeah, prepare yourself, and I'm gonna just try to get into every technical aspect as I can with regards to chumming, what's it about, and purposes, methods, ethics, where to do it, what to use, etc. So yeah, guys, we're gonna discuss that today. I'm gonna first start off on the first one, which is the purpose of chumming. So for those who don't know what is chumming, chumming is a process whereby we get the scent out of bait to deeper water, in excluding our bait that we use onto the hook. So it helps the scent go out into deeper water and attracts fish, and this in fact brings the fish closer, because as we know, fish and sharks and all species have a very good sense of scent, and that's what attracts the fish to come forward. So your whole purpose of chumming is to provide a scent that goes out into the ocean, attracts fish, and the fish follow that scent and come closer to shore. So it improves your chance of catching fish. So chumming done correctly, properly, is an excellent method of improving your chances of catching. So with regards to methods of chumming, there's various different methods. Some are more effective than others. The best method I use for chumming is you use a net. There's a net and there's a pole, and there's a string attached to those two. So it's a net, it's a string, and there's a pole. So you actually push the pole into the sand, and you let the sack full of chum into the ocean, into the shore of the ocean, and as the waves go back, it sucks the scent out of it. So as the tide goes lower, you need to in fact bring that pole closer to shore, and it makes sure that it's close to the waves, where the waves use that, take the force of the waves, and it takes off all that scent, and it removes that scent into deeper water, and attracts fish. I'm gonna get on in later on into common mistakes, etc. So I'm gonna talk on what works for now. This is a method that works. You can use there is stuff where you can buy this. I've seen it at some tackle shops, or you can make it also. Bit of a harder process to make it, but you can. I've seen guys using sack, etc. Yeah, but make sure that also what bait you use and what stuff you use inside is protected. It just doesn't all just come out completely, so then that will in fact lower your chances of a successful charm. So I'm going to talk now on what to use exactly for charming. You remember here you want to use bait that has good scent. So there's two types of bait that I use for charming. One is the harder bait and one is the softer bait. So when I prepare my charm, I use the harder bait on the outside and I use the softer bait on the inside. So in this way you preserve your scent. So if you put like your softer baits outside and your harder baits inside, the scent just gets out as fast as it can, and it goes out very quickly, and you're left with your hard bait inside. It takes slowly to come out. It's not really serving a purpose. So you can keep your harder baits outside. As the ocean thaws your bait into a certain temperature, it becomes more mushy and releases it. So the harder bait preserves those softer baits inside, and as it comes out, it releases very slowly. So here the whole point is you want to release that scent of your charm very slowly, so you can benefit from it quite long. Remember, there's a time span with regards to how long a charm is effective, because if it just drains out too quickly, it doesn't last long. If you use your harder baits on the outside, it can work. Now, what I mean by harder baits, what softer baits? For example, you got like a choker, old choker that is now pink or yellow or rotten or something. You open it up and you leave it on the outside. So that's a harder bait. So you look at like some if you got like a rotten head of a big mackerel or a tuna or whatever it is, you put that on the outsides. It's hard. It protects what's inside. Now inside the softer baits, we're talking more on your softer baits like softer mackerel, sardines, pilchards, prawns, all old bait. This can cost you quite a bit, but it is an effective method of getting a bait. So for example, you're fishing after a full season of summer, and you don't have any use for your bait, or some of your bait is old. You can use this as a method to assist you. Yeah. So we'll now go on into our fourth concept or fourth subtopic of where to use your charming. Now, charming works most effective if used in a riptide. Riptide is whereby you have a bank, and you have a riptide going out. So ultimately, you want to put you must look at where your current is moving. So if you find a north to south or south to north current, you're going to use the advantage and use it to where it goes out more. If there's no current, it's fine. Observe the water and look at it. You can put your charm bag in the middle of the rip and it goes straight out. So that in fact is the best. So you want your charm to go out into the rip current, and it's in a back line of where the fish are, and then it comes through there and you get your bite. But if, for example, you use it to the right, you just use your charm, it can store into those patches of water, and it might not really go out. But all depends on the current, depends on many different things, on wave action, wind, etc. But ultimately, you want your charm to be moving out into the rip, into the deep water. Now, preferably you want to use this in a place where the sandbanks. It works more effectively. If you use this into an open surf, no problem, it can work. but where is actually your chum going? You won't really have a thorough understanding. If you got a sandbank, you know where the water is being manipulated into, so you can use this more effectively. So I would advise, if you're starting off chumming, make sure you use this in a place where there's sandbanks, and you know where your chum is being moved into. Very importantly, number 5, ethics in fishing and ethics in chumming. Now, chumming can be a messy situation. If you make sure at the end of your fishing session, if you find that some of your chummers came onto the wash back onto the beach, you pick it up and throw it back into deeper water. Don't ever mess the beach, whether you're fishing anyway. Don't mess it with your dirt or bait or chum or anything. Make sure at the end you observe. You're fishing and chumming at night, make sure you put your torch onto the ocean shore and see that none is messed. So if you do chum and there's bait coming off, it gets rotten, it brings a bad name for fishing, it brings a bad name for yourself. So make sure that you're ethic in the way you use you're ethical into the way you're using your chum, and make sure that all that you use is back into the water. It comes from the ocean, should go back to the ocean. So preferably, I prefer chumming when there's not many anglers around. It can irritate some guys. For example, you have a sack of chum there, a guy's on with a fish, it gets tangled with his line, it's going to cause a problem. So sometimes the chum bag moves left and right. Some guys are going to cast, it can hurt them, it can be a problem. Best is if you're alone or for the 1 or 2 guys who are understanding what's going on, make sure that you put it there into the right place and you won't have a problem. But when there's too many guys around, people are swimming, don't do it when people are swimming. There's no laws stating that you don't use it, don't chum when people are swimming, but you should do the right thing and don't obstruct people who are busy at the beach. Make sure it's at a beach where you're most likely not being disturbed or quiet. Number 6 is tides. Tides play a massive role in a successful chum or not. So my favorite time to chum is a bit on the outgoing tide, a bit on a low, and a little bit on the push tide. And there's a reasoning behind that. So I firstly like to use a spring tide. Not so much a nip tide, but I like a spring tide when I'm chumming. Reason for this is, on a spring low tide, you are going closest to the very deep water. And the reason I like an outgoing tide, a low tide, and an incoming tide is because the low tide sucks all the water out. So if you look at where your chum is, it sucks the water. It sucks all your chum into the deep water. On the low tide, it probably holds there and get that water into the scent, and a little bit of the push, the fish get attracted to that and they come forward. So that's what you want this for. If you use this on a high tide, it can be a frustrating thing, because you put your chum out, the ocean is pushing towards the shore. Thereafter, your chum bag gets pushed right up the beach. There's going all over the shore. The scent is you don't know where, and eventually you'll just get caught full of it and you won't end up doing it. So my advice: spring tide, little bit of the outgoing, low tide, push tide, done. You don't have to do this for any other tide. It works best on the spring tide. So the common mistakes, number 7, the common mistakes that guys do, see them just taking bait and throwing it into the ocean, not even squashing them up, not even, they just throw it, and ask them what they need, they chum in the water. If, for example, there's like sardine activity around and you do that, it can work. But best way, don't throw it against the wave. If the wave comes, wait for the wave to crash, throw it after that. Those waves, the ocean sucks back. So make sure you just come and put this, you choose your correct spot, correct tide, correct bait, correct method, and throw it. Just don't throw it anywhere. Just don't come and mess the beach. Don't come and make sure if you're chumming also, you must always squash your bait up. You don't want it to be a hole. The scent doesn't go out as much as it would be when it's squashed up. Number 8 is the legality aspect of chumming. Now, when you do use any bait for your chumming, make sure it's within the legal size limit, and the amount of fish required for you that you can keep is there. So make sure that there are bait fish there, because we are allowed to use bait fish legally. So make sure you use your bait fish there only. Don't use any fish that is undersized. Don't use any fish that is not a bait fish, not regarded as a bait fish. You can get into trouble if the authorities do check what you have, and you have more than the amount of fish you're allowed per day. You can be in trouble. So make sure you are within the legal size limit and amount of fish being used. Don't use fish that are from rock species, slow growing species like rock cod and stuff. They grow very slowly. The residential fish, those fish should be released. Although you are legally allowed to keep it, but don't use them for charm and stuff. Just use bait fish. Number 9, the tools you'll need to use for charming. You'll need a knife, nice sharp knife, and you'll need a choker hammer. When you're preparing a charm, cut them into squares, into triangles, into pieces. Cut the tail, take the choker hammer, smash the head. Head is very important. The head has a very high amount of oils, very high amount of meat. You smash the head, smash the body. Take your hands, make it into balls, and put it in there. Use these tools, knives, hammers, anything that smashes the bait up to make that scent go out further. Number 10 is the duration. It doesn't make sense for you to go in the morning to fish, leave the charm there the whole day. It don't make sense. If you know, as an angler, if you put a whole mackerel out, cast it out, and you wait for 10 to 15 minutes, you reel out, the scent is all gone. The bait is coming out without blood. It's drained out. Same concept with regards to charming. Charming, I like to use about an hour. Depends on the quantity of bait you're using also. It depends on what bait you're using. But I'd say use this for an hour before the tide, on the low and a push for that duration of time. You don't need more, in my view, from my experience in charming. So you need to just use that within the time limit. And yeah, guys, that's our video for today. It's on charming. Feel free to air your views on this video. You have comments there. You have share your comments on how you feel of what I said. If you have any questions regarding charming, ask me. I'll respond to it. I respond to every question that is posted onto my YouTube channel. We're here to help, guys. We're here to empower. We're here to educate. It's all about learning. This is not about promoting anything else apart from the sport of fishing. Ethical and correct rock and surf angling. Guys, I'm gonna stop there, and I'm gonna start preparing for my next video. I've noticed guys who mentioned they like bait presentations. I'm gonna try working on those, fighting some fish, fishing in general. So guys, all the best for the summer months of fishing, tight lines. Hope to meet you guys more. Thank you for all the support. I really appreciate that. And if you need any help, just shout. Sure. Thanks, guys, and all the best.